As you can see now that I've painted the chimney stack, the next thing I'm going to turn to is actually putting the slates on the roof. So before I start that, I'm just going to show you how I just chip the edges. So I'm just going to move the camera down now. And there's a length of tiles that I've pre-cut. So all I need now is my Stanley knife. What I do is just run it on the edge of the table, and then I just flick different things. You probably can see the bits flicking off. It's quite a quick process, it's not something that takes forever, but it does make a difference to the look of the roof tiles. You can just slide your knife across so it takes a little delve out without actually going right through. So if you do that with all the strips of tiles. Now the depth of where I want to lay my tiles, this one's slightly deeper and they're about 1.5 centimetres between, and this line here is where I'm going to put this strip, and all it is a little bit of surplus plastic card, and that is to go on the front just there, and what that is, and that just raises that first row of tiles up, and then your next one will go on top of them, obviously after they've been chipped, and you'll put them each one alternately between the previous tile and just build that up right to the top. So what I'll do is I'll stick this one on, and I'll stick the first one on and probably the second one, just to show you what I do. So I'm just going to put, just got to now look for me super glue. Oh, there it is over there. Okay, you can do this with the roof off if you wish, but I'm not too bothered. Actually, I think I might do. So let's just move that out of the way. Right, so the first row of glue is just going to go there. Just run it along. I'm going to sit that on there. You don't have to be that precise. Okay, so that's the first set of roof slates that I've chipped. So next up, what I'll have to do is run a bit of glue just underneath that line, the first line, just underneath, and then also a little bit, I'll just run a line across the top of that extra piece. And I've already pre-cut this one, so I can literally line this one right up. Don't press down instantly, just in case you've got to adjust it. It doesn't even matter if you're not exact. There we go, so that's the first one. So I'll just find out which is the second row of tiles, which they don't look too bad. I did have another set cut. I think I'll just have to go hunting for them, but I'm quite happy with that. So I'll put the next one on, and then so just run a row again of glue, and just a little bit on the top one of that row of slates. That one's just running down a bit. It's not crucial, but you don't want big blobs of glue. So let's roughly get this more or less in the middle. Again, don't worry about being absolutely perfect. I always think, personally myself, if things don't look too perfect, then they look more realistic. So that's nicely pressed down. So we're just going to carry on now up that side of the roof in that fashion. Okay, so far, as you can see, I've got the roof tile now, and I've put on the ridge tiles. Steve might show you how to make a ridge tile earlier, but I'm using this one because he made it earlier. All it is two pieces of Foamex board, one longer side, one shorter side, glued together, and then the ridge is put in. But we can show you how to do that. Sand it down, and then I painted it with terracotta, and then just rubbed in a bit of red ochre just to give it a bit of definition. And when that's dried, I shall actually put in some black so it looks like dust has sort of settled in. So the next job I'm going to do now is to put my base colour on for the slates, which is a violet colour. And the violet colour is made up of red and blue. And this just goes on as a straight colour. I don't take it off or anything. But what you've got to remember is to sand the plastic card down quite well. So if you hold it up to the light, you'll actually see shiny bits. If you get any shiny bits, just sand them down. So you need something for the paint to key to. So we'll start off. And this is a colour that just goes all over. Normally I would have painted the ridge tiles last, but for some reason I did it first. I don't know why, but you have them sort of days. Try and get into the cracks if you can. You won't get them all, but the more layers of paint we put on, the more they'll get filled in. And this dries pretty quickly, so just continue until you've done both sides, and then we'll see what it looks like when it's dried. Okay, you can see the violets dried. It doesn't have to be super neat because it's going to get covered up anyway. So what we're going to do now is put on the Paynes grey. It's not too runny, but it's not thick either. So we'll put this on and then we'll lift it off or dab it off in sections. Sometimes you'll, as I say, get a little bit of white tile showing through. It will eventually cover up and fill in. So just get your tissue and it's just dab it. Just so a bit of the violet comes through. If you feel it's too thick, just add a bit more water. So we'll leave that to dry, but while that's drying I can turn it round and do the back edge. Okay, so the first, or should I say the second coat of paint is dried enough for me to put the wash on now. So we've got the first coat, which is the violet, second coat, which is the Paynes grey and dabbed off, and now we've got this one, which is Paynes grey again, but just a lot more watery, so it's more like a wash. So you're just going to wash that over. You should get in most of the crevices, but if you find there's still some left, just wait for it to dry and then just give it another wash. Don't matter how many washes you put on, that's up to you. I usually only just put this one on. Occasionally I do put a second one on, but I find the violets coming through too much. But the violet sets it off because when the sun shines on it from outside, the roofs look really, really, really nice. Oh, this is the way that I've settled into doing for our roofs. So we'll leave that to dry, turn it round and do the back of the roof. Okay, so there's the roof. It's not quite dry yet, but it's looking good. And if I pull that back slightly, let's see it a little bit better. Okay, so back and front done. So there's nothing more for me to do as far as painting that roof goes, apart from just putting a bit of black on the ridge tiles and smoothing it in to make it look like soot's settled on it. So after I've done that, then I shall put some lead flashing around the chimney stack.
Stanley blades. A couple of people have actually been on YouTube and mentioned, you know, what's the difference. Now, I haven't shown it before exactly what they look like. This is a curved blade, obviously, and that's a straight blade. Not to be confused with a hook blade, because that's a really sharp point. These, because of the nature of it, you're actually cutting right on this very edge. So you're cutting on the corner, so it does make it a lot easier to cut through the thicker stuff. The straight ones, exactly the same. It will cut it, but it would just take you that little bit more time, a little bit more effort, because you're cutting a longer section of the blade. You're using a bit more of it. So it's easy with that. It is really easier. You've got to try it just to see the difference. I recommend it. I found it a lot easier with a curved, and I do with the straight, but I use the straight just as much. But yeah, definitely have it, give it a go. Right, we're just going to now start making the windows for it. We're using a very simple window. We're not going to go to something really complex at this stage. You can do the windows with sashes in if you wanted at the top, and you can make them look as though they'd open. But this, I think I found this one's quite adequate. A simple little window. All I'm doing now is just going to draw them out, so we know where we are with them, and then we'll go from there and cut them out and show you how I cut them out. So I'm literally finding the centre, which is about there. So I've got 3/4 on that side, 3/4 on that side. I tend to draw these in two, so I can take it all the way down, just a very thin line. And obviously I can make two windows out at the same time. And then it's a matter of dividing this back up. I think it's that and that. I think it's 1 inch. And that gives me just underneath, so it's that way. Yeah. I will put all these numbers on the site when we get a little bit nearer, just to make sure you're all aware what they are, and go from there. So once we've drawn it out, it's now just a matter of scrabbing it in. So I get my scrabber, draw down each one, just up to the lines, avoid going past them. And the same with that one. And the same with the other way. Right, that's them scrabbed in. I tend to go over them with a proper scrabber. That one's a little bit blunter. So if you look at the points, you can see this is really fine. It is a proper scrabber. And I tend to just run down them again. And again, that makes it so much easier for cutting. You're just got to be a little bit careful. Don't trying to do everything in one stroke. So nice and easy that way. Turn it round, and again down the other way. Keeping it there we are. So I've now scrabbed them twice, but not gone any over any of the lines. I've also made it, when you put it up to the window, it is, if anything, slightly over. And again, that's as good as anything, just because you can always trim it back. You can't add it on so easy. So nice and gentle. And if you do it 3 or 4 times, it doesn't matter. That cuts that like that. You'd cut that off, and again, just a little bit bigger than I need. And then we've got to go on to cutting them out. So we're going into the same lines. Now I tend to do this because I've grooved it without a ruler, so I'll show you that way. So I do think it's a lot easier. When you're trying to hold onto a ruler and the piece of board, It's not easy. But if you've got your score lines in nice and deep, it's not a problem. So what you're doing is cutting it. You've already cut halfway through with the Scrabble, so it's just following the scored line, not going past anything. Leave it short if you have to. Don't let this blade come back and cut one of the spars off, because then you can stick them, but it's easier not to do it in the first place. I've learnt that mistake as well. I'm good at the mistakes, so I know all the pitfalls. So we just go right round every line. And if you feel you haven't gone right through, just do it again. And the last one, I always turn it round so I can hold the board and keep my fingers well out of the way. I found that easier too. So that's the first cut. You probably can see from the back, I don't even see that on the camera, I haven't got into every corner. So hence I swap blades and go to the straight one, and then just literally go into every corner and cut it through. Turn it round and do the other side. Just methodically work your way down so you're not missing a corner. Then turn it round the other way. It does take a little bit of practice. You know, you can have 2 or 3 goes before you maybe get one right, but it does work. It's just a little bit of patience, that's all. And turn it around the final time. I mean, like I say, windows again, it's your own choice. It's whatever you fancy as a window, what you think would be more sensible. If you're really into making it an absolute scale model, then obviously you can adapt and try something different, you know, make something a bit more complex. But we're just going for something simple. So it's taking them out. If you find one isn't cut, look for the part it isn't cut and just do it again. Don't push them out. Right, then what you tend to find is you've got little shards and strands. All I do then is just gently cut them off. If there's anything what's straggly, they're not corners not clean. Again, turn it round and just keep trimming them off until you're happy with the finish of it. Same again. One's a bit deeper, so all I'm doing really is just tidying up each little pane sort of thing, this strand across. Once I've done that, and I think it's quite reasonable, I'll then get my little nail file out. Standard ladies nail file or a men's nail file, I don't suppose there's a different one. And then just gently smooth them off until they're nice and smooth. Again, only gentle. If you find it isn't rough enough, you could always stick a bit of rough emery paper to a bit of board and make your own little nail file. I have done that in the past. You know, I thought, I could do this much just a little bit rougher. I've just made something to soak. Again, just going round. The more you clean these up, the better. And then go around again. Every little bit you can take off is a bit what you won't see when you've stuck it in. I tend to leave my windows white. It's, again, if you want to paint them, it's your windows. You paint whatever you want, you do whatever you want on your windows. Check it over, make sure everything's nice and neat. All the way down. Keep it there. And then I generally just rub all my pencil lines off. Again, you could spray it white if you felt it wasn't white enough, or you wanted it slightly off colour, or paint it cream. Again, like I say, me and Pat tend to leave them just white. And what we're doing is, once we've got this bit done, we'll then check it to our window size. So if I turn that one round, you can see from there, I cut it for this one. Always measure your windows. Don't take it for granted they're always going to be the same size. This one's just a shade tight, but it will go in. And we're just a shade long. So you look at the top edge, which would be that one. And this is where a straight blade is absolutely necessary. If you try and cut this with a hook blade, you can't do it. It won't cut really fine cuts. So your straight blade is important. So a gentle little stroke down. And then you can cut some off just to get it so it goes in the gap. Push it in. Make sure it's a reasonable fit. Obviously you can sand it down, tidy it up to whatever you want. Once you've got it in there, like I say, you can have a look at it. It's hard. We'll just tidy that up. And then the next thing, we're quite happy with that. That looks reasonable. I think I'll just sand it a little bit on that side. It's just a shade tight. So again, just a little bit of rougher sandpaper. That one. Give it a little bit of a sanding. Not a lot. It might be your cut might have just been slightly out. Any reason, but so just a tiny little bit off there. Pop that back in. That's it, lovely. And then what I do then is I get it there. I then get the same piece I was using, or another piece, and just cut a little sill board off. So I do mine at 3/16. So I'll draw that on. That's where I'm going to cut it. But before I cut it, I'll turn it round and just rub that edge, just so it's got a curve on it. Bit of a slope. Can you see that? And then pop that on there. Check that out. Pop that on the bottom. So it's a little bit of super glue. Passes that super glue, dear. Thank you. Tiny little bit of super glue on here. That's it. I'm sure no bits among it like that one had. Sloping down. Pop it on there. Make sure it's level with the bottom. Turn it on its end if you can't get it. That's easier. That's it. Make sure it's level. A little bit of a clean up. A little bit softer sand or emery paper as I use. There's a final one. Bit of a clean up. Same in there. The more you fiddle and do these little bits, the better they get. Because you keep tidying it and tidying it till you get it and you think, well, that looks alright. And then it's a simple matter of popping it back in again. Squeeze it in. You can keep them as tight or as slack as you want. You're going to glue them in eventually. And one window in the building. There we are. That's a simple windows put in. Obviously you can make these as elaborate, as complex. You could put thicker bar there, sash windows what stand out, you could have sash windows opening. The possibilities are endless. I mean, a lot of the signal boxes what we see on model railways, in real life they would have a cutout at the bottom for all the point rodding to come in. So there's many things you can add to this. There's a lot with a little walkway to clean the windows, not as small as this. I wouldn't have thought you'd have that. But that gives us a pretty good, I think, representation of a signal box. So we'll carry on and we'll now make a door for it. Right, so what we've done now is I've cut a piece of 3mm to fit the opening for the door. And now we're going to decide what size door and what type of door. Well, a door height normally is about 4 inches. So a standard door in 16mm at 4 inches. If I get my scale ruler, 4 inches. There's my 16mm. If I go from there, 4 inches would be just over 6 foot. So a door at 6'6", 6'3" is about the right height. So we should be putting a little skylight here. So we'll draw this in, panel framework for the door, put a skylight in, and then draw 2 windows in, and then a panel bottom, just so we've got something there to represent the door. We'll carry on. We're going to scrap the door framing. Remember, this would go all the way to the floor. And it would go across the top of the door. And then we cut out the skylight window. And this would be just drawing in the lines where we think that wants to be. We'll then cut out the 2 panels for the door. So we're going down that one, down that one, like that. Down there. Join them up. And then the same at the bottom. And we're going to make these into like a little panel. It's just at the bottom of the door. You could do it planked. I think they're more likely to be a little bit more panelly, but I don't know. It's signal boxes. There's that many variations. These things, you've either got to do field trips or look through all the books on YouTube to find a signal box you like, and you could copy their details. It'd be the easiest way. This is what we think suits our railway. So we've drawn everything in, which is all the panels and everything else. We should have done one there as well. That window wouldn't be as high as that. So we've drawn that all in. That should be there. And then we're going to cut these out. So the answer then is to go around them again, the glass parts. Remember which ones we're cutting out and which ones we're keeping. We're leaving the panels in at the bottom and cutting one out at the top. So I'm going to take the window light above. We're going to take the glass out for the door in this one. And the same in that way. Carefully going up to the corners. And that one, so we're taking that one out, that one, that one, that one, that one. Oh, these I didn't cut. Right. So we've now got a door in a frame. We can accentuate that frame a little bit more. And across that one. Rub all our pencil marks out, as we don't need them. And then one of the little things I do is I just go a flat screwdriver. So I've just got that blade there. And if you very carefully just put that in there and pull down, that in the corner is sloping in. Same on that one. Then turn it round and do exactly the same thing the other way. And it's that pliable, this Foamex. You can actually sort of squish it down so it gives it a little bit of a bevel to it. Then across the top. And the same with the other way. And just keep gently going round till you're happy with that part of it. And again, it's a neat little trick. And we've now got, I don't know if you can see that on there, a panel at the bottom. So all it is now is a matter of tidying up again. There we are, see it? Just clean up the areas. Tidy up them corners there. Pop that back in. And now all we need on there, we just need a strip to go across the door, so we're going to cut one out of there. So again, we'll do exactly the same thing as before. I'll pop it on here, just round that edge of her. And all we're doing there is just getting a nice round edge. We trim it off. Trim it off whatever you think. I mean, it won't stick out that far. Probably about 3/16 again, which is I tend to work to. Pop it on. And just cut it off. And then you take the door out. And the door would be closing, and it'd be just above because there'd be a step in there. So this time we're not going, if you get too much silver glue, just dab a bit off. You don't want excess. We're going just slightly above. Again, maybe a 1/16 of an inch underneath, and then just popping it on like that. And then we just quickly cut to the door frame. Like that. Mainly because the door sill is on the door, not on the frame. And then pop it back in. And how's that look? I'll pop the roof back so you can see what it looks like with the roof on. There we are. So right, what I did was, I've drawn a number of the little section of brick. I'm going to cut them off individually, so I can just follow my knife down my groove. As you can see, it does cut really easy with a curved blade. It's something you've got to try. It's not something I can, without trying it, you can't tell. But I found it so much easier. What I was going to say to you, and I should have put it on straight from the off, was just to pop a little bit of brick, half over that joint and a half, covering the gap. So if you have got a little gap in there, if you put a bit of glue on that, so it's a matter of just gluing it carefully, taking that off, little tiny glue on there, I did this on all of mine. If you get a perfect fit, then I would have thought it's not too bad. But at the same understanding, I don't like the idea of water getting inside. We don't put anything in that can be damaged by water. The other thing I was going to do is I thought the chimney looked a bit plain, so I'm now going to cut some strips to go around the top. Again, just chopping them off with the brickwork, marking both sides of the brick in, and it gives it, I think it gives it just that little bit more of a railway. And if you're as heavy handed as I was just then, you can cut the bricks off separate. Gently cut these bits as you've just seen. Again, I'm just going to glue one on, probably one row down. We'll stick it on there like that, and I'll go right around the top, and then you can see that we'll have a little bit more. So we've now got the doors, we've got the chimney sealed with a little bit of fiddly, you know, just to make it that little bit more special. So it looks a bit more railway to me. We've started, Pat does little bits for the inside, obviously. You can't see him at the moment. There's a little desk in there and the start of the chimney breast. I mean, I can take the roof off and show you what I mean. And tip it up.
Can't see it from it. It's not glued in.
No. So, and Pat's made a little desk that goes inside. That looks lovely. That's clever. That's his register. We're just making the what you call is a simple fireplace. So we won't stick that in. Pat will work on that and make all little bits, make a fender for it and things like that. And this is the little touches that you can all add in. Your fireplace, a little mantelpiece. These are bits what Pat will do just for our benefit. Obviously what you put in is your choice. We will put bits in, but I mean, I love the desk. I mean, Pat's great at making little things like this. It looked brilliant with our little test man. He's there working away, writing on his register.